verse and then
Let's go with the legs.
I just picked.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of The Whole Bushel on the Real News Network. I'm your host, Eze Jackson. The Whole Bushel is an artist interview show where I sit down with artists to discuss issues that matter to them the most, all while eating crabs the way we do here in Baltimore, Maryland. Today's guest is the Out of Water Experience. We're talking to three members of the band, frontman Femi the Dry Fish, Chuck the Mad Ox, and Maurice Carrol. Welcome to the show, brothers. How y'all doing?
All right, we good.
Good.
I couldn't even get mine out.
We have a new president, President Trump, who has said he's going to cut funding from National Endowment of the Arts, which is going to be a huge blow to the arts community. You mentioned before losing funding. These are things that we have dealt with. And I think all of us have taught in schools, done the arts in schools. What are your thoughts right now? Why has it been important for you to take your art form into schools and teach young people? And how do you feel about the future of arts funding right now in the United States?
Well, for me personally, most of my money comes from teaching. You know, I get booked throughout the state of Maryland, DC, parts of VA, to go into schools, do residencies, week-long residencies here and there, to work with middle school through high school. Sometimes I do elementary, but
I don't like middle school.
I can't. I need you.
We work on those together. Let's talk
Really?
like afterwards. I'll take the elementary school gigs. You take the middle school.
Really? You like doing elementary?
I love elementary school and high school, man. I cannot
I'm talking
deal with middle
about,
school.
you do writing workshops with them?
Yeah,
Or perform?
yeah. Perform.
So I can perform for them, but when I have to sit down and do a writing exercise with them, I think I struggle with, like my exercises require you to have to get it.
Yeah.
And I guess because my tool, my main thing when I do residencies is figurative language.
Okay.
So I'm a stickler for understanding metaphors, similes, hyperboles, personification, you know, those tools, the imagery tools, like to create imagery with words and so on and so forth.
So this concerns you then, like cutting from the NDA?
It does. The thing is, whenever the Republicans are in office, their whole campaign is to put money where they feel is important. And art isn't important to the Republican Party. Their mentality is their kids aren't in those schools.
How about that?
They can afford guitar lessons.
Yeah.
They can afford piano lessons, voice. They send their kids off to ballet in a whole different location. So in their head, I always think that Republicans think everyone is living their life. When I say Republicans, and I hate to say not all Republicans, but those who make the laws are usually wealthy. They're the upper class, middle to upper class, and not even middle, right? Upper middle and upper class.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that they think everybody's living their reality. So they always look at the people at the bottom like, well, I did this, why can't you? You know, so they cut funding. Their desire to cut funding from arts and school programs is because in their head they send their children to get their art when they get home from school. It's elsewhere.
That's a great point.
And that mentality, you know, that's why it's always, you know, it's kind of sucky when they're in office because they just assume everyone is living their life.
Free fall and just let go. Free fall and I can't tell the difference between what God says and the voices in my head. The spotlight's addicted, every page my mistress. I write, use the pen as my wife. Leap of faith through a stage dive, suicide the boot. My legal weapon's the microphone. My words even hurt me when I speak the truth. As I walk to the ledge, dancing on the edge, holding musical notes. Every last word said, I let go. If you want a free fall, you just gotta let go. If you want a free fall, if you want a free fall, if you want a free fall, free fall, let it go. Free fall. We do this full of love, use the hate as the fuel. At home on any stage, you would know what knows our name. Cut loose to a rage, yeah, we're living proof. We'll jam for food to the core. My lyrics explicit and raw, you soft porn. Frustrated cause you naked and still can't bear it all. As I walk to the ledge, dancing on the edge, holding musical notes. Every last one say I let go. If you want a free fall, you just gotta let go. If you want a free fall, if you want a free fall, if you want a free fall, free fall, let it go. Free fall. Go crazy. Free fall, let it go. Free fall.
And they don't realize that. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you good.
But they don't realize that for us, the art does save and actually help to balance out many situations. You know, because even as a kid, for me, I remember, you know, I failed music, which is funny to me to say now because this is what I do. You know, but as a kid, I failed music, but as like hip hop was growing and changing, it did help a lot of cats go one direction in comparison to another direction, even based on some of the things that they listened to. Because instead of wanting to join certain types of groups, they joined other types of groups. You know, it was a lot of influence. Yeah. And then like, you know, like I knew a lot of cats who did graffiti, and then that made them want to take their art further. You know, it's like one step into another step, you know? So knowing that the availability for those classes or programs are there for the kids to easily to be able to be a part of are kind of important. And at this point in time, like with the kids, like, you know, I honestly believe like these kids at a certain point, you know, they'll just be like, I don't care about nothing. Like there's just a hard bottom, and trying to get them back to a point of thinking and wanting to love and appreciate and think about things. Art is a part of that process. Yeah. You know, art is a part of that process. You can barely see like real art and stuff like that in people's houses anymore. You know, like you used to go to someone's house, see pictures of things that it may have been in their family for years, sitting on a wall or, you know, or on a shelf or whatever that could be explained, you know, and taking these things away from these kids is going to kind of help that negative mentality that they're already starting to have.
And I think it's an issue. I think it's an issue that often comes up in both parties. I mean, you're right, Femi, the Republicans are notorious for it. But even in 2012, Obama cut funding from the NEA. You know, another example of a class, you know what I'm saying, where it's like, if you're not directly affected, then you will make some of those decisions, I think.
But I think when someone like Obama does it, and not that I know him, you know, personally, we don't drink Guinness together, but you know, I think that treat like crabs, since we're having this conversation around crabs. All the money to give out everywhere is here on this table on these crabs. And then all of a sudden something gets short over there, so we got to pull from over here to put over there. I mean, that's how money is split. You know, so I could see him saying, ah, man, we short over here. Let's move this over there. And like I said, we don't roll together. We don't roll dice together, nothing like that. But I always get someone like Obama, I could say that at least he's showing he cares.
Yeah.
And he understands,
that's
one,
true.
because he didn't come up in that upper class. He kind of moved. I mean, he wasn't from that cut. You know, like when you think about someone like Donald Trump, you know, he'll say, hey, my dad gave me a mere $1 million in the 80s, which $1 million in the 80s was like $1 billion. You know, it was $1 billion, but to him, $1 million wasn't that much money. Mm-hmm. To us in the 80s, $1 million was everything. You know?
So you feel like Obama showed us by always reminding us that he came from humble means.
Yeah.
And so you feel like
I don't think you have to do that. I do think that Obama would show he cares. I think that's, at the end of the day, it's like you're in office. We understand that this thing, all this money, it's hard to maneuver. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's wars to be fought. Yeah, there's health insurance. Yeah, there's building roads and bridges. Yeah, there's welfare. Yeah, you know, yeah, there's Social Security. There's all this stuff happening.
You're always gonna shake hands with the devil.
You mean like
if you're doing politics, always.
You know, so
yeah.
I get it. Like I'm not ignorant to say, how come you didn't do all this or how come you didn't do all that? I get it. You have to maneuver things. There's a lot of trying to get this done while this is trying to get done and that's trying to get done, and things are gonna suffer. But my thing was always like, give me someone in charge who cares, who can show they care. You know what I'm saying?
Even though, yeah, and with Obama, it's like I feel like he played the role, you know what I mean? Because he also spent a lot of money in funding wars, and you know, there's a lot of, you know, he put a lot of money in places that a lot of us wouldn't agree on, but I feel like it was sold to us a little better. Right now, I feel that, and you know, let me know if you agree or disagree, but I feel like the fear right now is that Donald Trump is very intentional and open about what he's doing and doesn't seem to care what people think about it.
Well, all right, let me jump back before we get there. I mean, even though he's in office and he states things in a very stern, blatant one-track mind way, I'm a believer that it starts at home and the community first. So even though, okay, we've got to shuffle this money here and shuffle it there, one of the reasons why I'm in music is because another musician reached out to me and said, hey, I see you trying, let me show you this. It had nothing to do with it being in school. It didn't have anything to do with there being funding for something that I had to go to. It was an artist recognizing another artist coming up and saying, let me help you and let me show you this. The other stuff, the funding and the schooling and the after-school program and all of that stuff came later, but that spark was somebody noticing something in me, you know what I mean? So, and when I'm teaching in the after-school programs and things like that, or I'm playing at a gig, or if I see a kid, you know, doing something that is musical, I try to go out of my way to say something or do something encouraging, you know, and to me, that's worth more than the dollar that you need to fund, you know what I mean? Because to me, that's what that means more, you know what I mean? Because that turns that light bulb on. And for me, that meant, okay, well, hey, Mom, can I get a little toy piano? Can I play on this? This is just before, okay, well, you need to go to school for this. This happened before that. So in the nurturing years that I was coming up, that person saying, hey, you know, keep trying. Let me show you this. Now try that. Hey, I see you worked on it. Here's something more. Before there was school, there was that. So that had nothing to do with the funding for me personally. So my approach to it is to say, okay, well, if that can happen, then why can't I be that same person, one? And then two, without asking the government or whoever for funding, let me start doing lessons and see what happens. Okay, well, how many kids can I you know, teach on my own? How many sparks can I get going on my own without having to introduce it to all of this funding and getting into the dynamic of where's the money, where's the money, where's the money. With that said, though, I I do depend on some of that now. So I do after-school programming for kids now. I do collegiate directing and things like that now. I do go into the religious centers and do what I do there. But my point is to kind of catch it before that has to be what it has to be. You understand what I mean?
I think, yeah, I see I see exactly what you're saying. Like, we're doing our part more individually. Somebody once told me, like, the way you change the world is you clean up your corner. You know what I mean? And you work in your area, in your neighborhood, doing as much as you can, and in hopes that it creates a cycle of people. Because every 4 to 8 years, we're going to have this switch up. We're going to have the Democrats lose power, the Republicans win power. Until we change that, you know, in any kind of, like, if there's a uprising in the third-party voting system or whatever, like, the only way that's ever going to change is if that happens. If a third-party rises, which is not likely.
Pepsi versus Coca-Cola.
Yeah, all day long. Pepsi versus Coca-Cola.
That's what it is.
Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage. You know what I'm saying?
They closing schools and building prisons to house our children because we don't teach them. They closing schools and building prisons to house our children because nothing's new. Stuck in this horror, trapped under the belly of this beast. So heavy it's difficult to lift, arms sticking out with nobody to reach. We don't want handouts, just showing up with fingerless, and it's hard to get a grip, to rip through these barriers between races, classes, languages that causes culture clashes, somehow still get skewed. While technology provides new views, media presents the news to control how things are viewed. Even with the footage as proof, it's still hard to prove what is true, like what your eyes are receiving is also deceiving you. And it all goes viral, spread advertisements like the Bible and collection plates as they prey on you, then pray to God for your earnings to use, to keep their lights on, leaving us in the dark like fools, even when knowing what the catch is, the rat race and the maze entrapment. We continue reaching for the cheese, not even considering dismantling the trap so we can eat in peace. And that's how we stay getting screwed, because you know it's true. They closing schools and building prisons to house our children, because we don't teach them. They closing schools and building prisons to house our children, because nothing's new. We protest for equality, still have to fight for justice. Some police officers don't even reside in the cities they protect. Proof their investment is in their paycheck and the aggression they get to inflict on suspects. Enforcing lawlessness, judges support their causes, judicial branches are backed by political offices, and all three is one big order that serves a greater purpose. It's the reason why education stays in the back burners, illiteracy ignored, passing ignorant children forward until they become adults, labeled with mental disorders. Self-destructive behavior becomes the new normal. Consider us immoral, unable to read beyond grade school lessons. Let's not even mention the lower levels of comprehension than politicians talking about we need to increase voters' registration, knowing that more than half the population can't understand written legislation. So candidates run elections like a popularity contest, shaking babies, causing SBS, kissing corporate sponsors, laying in bed like makeup sex, only visit the hood when it benefits the campaign, never to return again once they win. They closing schools and building prisons to house our children, because we don't teach them. They closing schools and building prisons to house our children, because nothing's new. We lack in patience, yet only show restraints when taking orders from the warden. Confined to a cell block that gets smaller and smaller. Return home from a long run up the river, wanting something better, but applying effort becomes a burden. Cats would rather embrace the streets and pick their poison till the twitching worsens. Rob, deal, and murder some person who's just like you, poor and hurting. Bail bondsmen make a killing rod to function. No different from private-owned prisons, because black men missing is profit. Supply and demand is a calling. We're still up for auction, making someone else a fortune, never receive a portion, and we're still going through withdrawal. But what would be beneficial to us all is that they kept spending millions on jails to incarcerate even more, but couldn't fill them at all. Make them waste the money they spending, destroy their revenue, starve the system, send them back to the drawing board where they get their rocks off screwing us all, then put it in reverse and give them blue balls, then rip their testicles off, and that would be something new.
I had a simple question I wanted to get from y'all. What's the most frustrating thing right now being a black man in America?
Guess you can't answer that question since you're not black.
Close enough. Okay.
You know what? I sat here last Wednesday. It was a Thursday when Jordan Davis' father was here.
Yeah,
It was Wednesday.
Last Thursday.
And something that he said struck a chord with me when he was talking about the situation where he called Sean Bell's father.
There's a lot of instances where you have organizations and also media outlets like CNN and some of the other outlets that will bring mothers to certain events and will not pay for the father of that child to come to those events. And that happened to the young man that was killed in New York, Sean Bell, that was killed at the bachelor party. His father called me, William Bell. Now, he's married to the mother. They live in the same house. They're a unit. And CNN took her to an event, and I asked him why he wasn't at the event. He said, they said they didn't have it in their budget.
First of all, all four of us are fathers.
Right.
You know, so black men and a black man in America, I would go as far as even a black father in America. It's so easy to dismiss that we don't exist. I mean, it's so easy to say we don't exist. You know what I'm saying? So it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. And there's so much narrative that is trying to fuel that fire, you know? Even when you are present, it's easy to say the minute you make that one mistake, you're completely cut down.
Yeah.
You know?
I always say it's interesting to walk down the street with my children and be acknowledged for walking down the street with my children. You never see white men walking down the street with their children and people going, there you go. I know that's right.
Go, white man.
You better go ahead. You never see that. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is a lot of white kids I know or have grown up with, their fathers were gone a lot because they were working all the time. Chuck.
It's for me, it's almost like it's a slight fear factor. Like, I fear no man, and the only thing that I fear is God. But I know I have a family. You know, I gotta protect my son, my daughter, you know, protect my wife. And there's certain realities I'm trying to teach my son to make sure that he understands that even though things may seem a little even, things may seem a little safe, you know, he's not looking at the big picture. And on a regular basis, I try to make sure that they understand that, you know, things aren't even. Right. I don't think they're probably ever going to be, you know. There's always going to be some type of conflict. You can find ways to try to help balance it out. You can try to balance those ways out through peace. And hopefully in a loving situation, but sometimes, you know, the hammer comes down. And I've been in crazy situations myself, and I'm not a violent person, but if you push me across the line, you will definitely see some violence. You know, I don't like to cause drama. I don't like to create enemies. You know, I'd rather just not deal with you than have to waste the energy to make you an enemy. But if you were to step in my face and things of that nature, then of course, my peaceful demeanor will punch you in your grill, you know? And I'm trying to educate my son and my daughter, but just speaking of him, I'm trying to make sure that he understands that you go to the school where there's mixed races, and some of your closest friends could be some of these white kids and even to some degree, some of the Latino kids, but you know, you still are going to stand out. There are going to be things that happens that they just won't understand. Some people are racist without realizing the racism that lie within them. And until you're able to see it, to educate them, they're gonna still do some of the things that they do. And it only gets worse as the years go on. And no matter how many fancy tracks and cool dances you make and people dance along to it, and how many times they replay the part of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech that sounds safe, not the beginning portion. And you know what I'm saying? Just to put people at ease, there's always going to be that certain thing that, you know, basically everything that Femi just said, that will always put that certain type of spotlight upon us that will consistently put us at risk. And it's no matter how much money you make, you know, what status you believe you have, you know, stars consistently get reminded of that. Chris Rock, some years ago, was in his car, got pulled over and harassed before the person realized that that was him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, typical
right.
story.
You know what I'm saying? And my wife just asked me the other day because of someone who posted some things on Facebook about where I live, which is the Patterson Park area, and about how like cats are being, you know, which is not the hood, not around the way. You know, so you're right.
East Baltimore neighborhood recently gentrified. Was once heavy working class mixed.
So fluffy puff compared to how I had to grow, you know. And she asked me, like, do these things happen to you when you walk the street? I was like, of course they happen. You know, the only difference between me and that person is they're acting like it's brand new. You know what I'm saying? You know, they feel as though they need to splash this on Facebook and put this extra light upon it like it's something that was just created. It's like, no, I grew up knowing how to handle the situation.
The voices in my head killed Jiminy Cricket. My consciousness is dead next to a horse's head that lays in my bed. Rants like the crazy old man on the bench. Sounds like Lupe's words I never said. The 10 Commandments, message from Muhammad and Buddhist monks, they all God sent. Listening to an atheist repent. Life full of regrets. The buzz from an alcoholic, intoxicated, cause we run from spirits only to drink it. A bomb blast, the sound of raining kids. A silence witness has a lot deceased. Violence makes them quiet before they can speak. Leaving a do not disturb sign hanging on the caskets. Rest in peace. Even though while we lived, we made a lot of noise and said, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely nothing. All I hear is static. Shortboard scratches. Elevator music. White noise. Radio being passive. We tend to lose our voice. Only fools rejoice. You can't hear a thing. With all this. My teacher used to read, do you listen to lyrics? But I'm not feeling it, and I'm illiterate. We only care when the bass hits, nothing being said. Look what we did, show me some naked chicks who tongue kiss. Cause real life is too real, we'd rather be distracted and fall into a deep bliss. Oblivious to the sounds of injustice, except when it's just us, then we selfish. UEP warned us when the crack hits, and still became addicted. Our own advice, we can't take it. Seeing self-destruction in the distance, and deaf air echoes in empty heads. We somewhere else lost, but the car stereo is too loud, and we have to turn it down just to find ourselves. Just to find ourselves. Just to find ourselves. Oh, hell. Elevator music. Radio be your passive. White noise. We tend to lose our voice. Only fools rejoice. You can't hear a thing. You can't hear anything. Come on. Pixie dust, never really fly, never land, head always in the sky. Hit the ground and die, parents sing the cry, never look inside, believe in all these lies. The truth is on trial, well no I know why, and no sense is a crime, so why ask why? No biggie no, the truth is ready to die, because the truth hurts when it's properly applied. All I hear is static, white noise, short more scratches, white noise. Elevator music, white noise, radio be your passive, white noise, tend to lose our voice, white noise, only fools rejoice, white noise, you can't hear a thing, can't hear anything, come on. Media propaganda is white noise. All those rumors is white noise. Politics is white noise. Calls for public school system is white noise. I said, all I hear is static. White noise, short food scratches. Elevator music. Radio be your massive. We tend to lose our voice. Only fools rejoice. You can't hear a thing. You can't hear anything. With all this white noise.
I wanna get your feedback, Maurice. Most frustrating thing about being a black man in America today? Assumption.
Yeah, for me, that's the biggest thing. It's society, media, just general people assuming when they see me what I am or what I am not, what I can do, what I cannot do. Like, so if I'm in the school, they just assume, oh, well, this is what you do. No. Or they see me on the street and they say, different, depending on who sees me, it could be, oh, well, he's dangerous because he's wearing this or he's driving that. Or if, and no matter how wide, the situation is, I could be in a place of religion and they say, oh, well, he must be that. Yeah. It don't matter how far it goes.
Yeah, my daughter went to my oldest daughter went to a Catholic school for pre-K. Mm-hmm. And we went to a ceremony there, and I'll never forget. It was a pretty white Catholic church, and I'll never forget. They did communion, and I got in line because in my church growing up, everybody who was there took communion if they were taking communion. Mm-hmm. So I got in line, and when I got to cardinal or whatever, he asked me if I was a member. And when I said no, he did not give me any bread. And I remember laughing about that, being like, well, why did you ask me? Like I watched the whole line go up here and get communion, and you asked me if I was a member. But you're right, like it's accepted, it's assumed, you know what I mean? It's always, we're always put kind of in this box, no matter what box it is you look at. And I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about your music and what you all do, because you kind of kick all of that out of the door, out of the way. It's not even allowed the moment y'all start to perform. So I appreciate y'all for coming on today, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
What's up,
man.
son?
Let's
was
keep
fun.
it going, man. Best of luck to y'all. And I look forward to doing more stuff with y'all this year, for real.
That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
what's up.
Yes, sir.
What's gonna happen to these crabs?
We're gonna finish. We're gonna get back
Are the
to
vultures
these.
gonna come out? And
We're
once
gonna get
the
back to
cameras
these
come off, and
crabs.
are the vultures going up?
Yeah, the crew is gonna
I
come
think the
and-
scavengers are coming.
Y'all, I want to thank y'all for joining us. Thanks for coming on the show today.
That's what's up, son.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, man, we're gonna wrap up and get back into these. Yo, thanks for joining us for another episode of The Whole Bushel on the Real News Network. To keep up with all of our past episodes and future episodes, go to therealnews.com. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to keep up with the Out of Water experience, visit their website and artkeymusic.com. All right, see y'all next time.
Justice, except when it's just us, then we selfish.